Hello there, everyone. Sorry, my hand's in the way. Pearl Jr. here, coming to you from the Skin Butter Store here in North Hollywood. And you guys know that I have my own store now. I sell the best shea butters in the world. In the store now, we already have over 150 different fragrances. They're not all online because I haven't really got to upgrading them, all of them online. But anyway, make sure you order your fantastic. I do have unscented available. Fragrance shea body butter. You can get it with frankincense, myrrh, and ylang bang. Ylang bang, I call it, is lang lang. But the reason why I call it ylang bang is because it's good for, because it's good for libido. Okay, and then Duck Blanket, which is a fun one. That's based on a fragrance called Butt Naked. And it smells like bubble gum. It's fun, it's summery, it's sweet, it's fantastic. And a whole bunch of other fragrances and a whole bunch of other products. Okay, guys, today, 16 years ago, was the most unhappiest day of my life at that point. Okay, I had never lost anybody close to me, and not that me and Michael were close, but I was in love with him since I was a 6-year-old little girl. And that, oh my God, Linda, the maps lady, had called me and she said an ambulance just went into Michael's house because she sold maps to Stars Homes right there. I was like, oh my God, I was writing an email at the time telling you fans that I had went to Carrollwood the day before and I had learned a doctor was spending the night. I learned it the day before that a doctor was spending the night. So I thought, if there's a doctor there, because fans were saying he was getting so thin, and you know why he was getting thin? To match the thinness of that cryonic body double, because we found weight loss pills in his house, okay? But anyway, and they were worried about him, right? And so I was like, I was writing an email saying, don't worry, fans. I went by, I talked to the fans that hang out in front of Carrollwood yesterday, and a doctor's spending the night, so he is being well monitored. That's what I thought, okay? Then when Linda called me and said, oh, an ambulance just went into Michael's house, I've told this story many times, I thought maybe it could be a gardener cut himself. That's really what I thought. I thought it could be anything, not Michael Jackson had died. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh my God, that was so horrendously devastating because I was driving. At first I was in the shower, and of course I had an email prepared. And Shay, which was Linda's partner that sold maps right outside of 100 North Carrollwood, they were like, the ambulance just left, and she said the sirens were on, but they weren't, because we have video footage of it. I guess she thought, of course, the sirens would be on, of course. And I had saw Dr. Conrad Murray's, that dark gray BMW the day before, come out of Carrollwood the day before. And I asked Linda, I said, who is that? And she said, I don't know. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe he just got the car. I don't know. But it was a new car, and it was supposed to be in his sister's name. Okay. But anyway, so then I drove, and when she told me that the ambulance left, I made sure that I went right to UCLA Medical Center, because that's the closest hospital. And that's when I got there, and was hardly nobody there. The campus had no idea. It was quiet, and I'm looking around searching because I'm panicking, right? Because she told me that when the firemen came out, she said, what's going on? And he said, it's Michael, and it doesn't look good. So now I'm panicked. I called Randy on the phone. I called Joe. They didn't pick up, you know, because I had their phone numbers, and they didn't pick up, and I left messages, and I was distraught. And then when I went there, I found one of the fans. I think her name was Samantha. And I think we hugged and really didn't have much to say. And then I just kind of hung out. And then the crowd started coming, and I started hearing voices, and all the media started calling me and saying, what's going on? What's going on? And then there was the rumor that he was in a coma. And then, you know, before they announced him dead, and then TMZ announced Michael dead 6 minutes before the actual hospital said Michael Jackson was dead. Oh my God, it was so devastating. Then I did a radio interview on KBC Talk Radio that night, and it was just, oh my God, that was so sad. I ended up being in a corner somewhere in a stairwell, in a corner crying, and in like in a fetal position, and a girl came and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, no, I'm not okay. You know, it was just, and then I was interviewed, and then I saw Brian Oxman, I saw Angel Howansky, and, you know, oh my God. So I never went into the press conference because I didn't know that you could go, that was going on. I was probably crying somewhere. You know, that's probably when it happened, was when I was in that stairwell, crying. Okay. But you know, oh my God. I believed at that time, and for 7 months after that Michael Jackson had died. I really did. And fans were calling me. They said, "We trusted you. Your coverage of his 2005 trial was so honest and so real. We trust you. Can you check into the death of Michael? Can you check into it?" And I was talking to one British girl a lot. I don't even remember her name. And we were, you know, she was telling me all the things that were odd and weird about Michael Jackson's death. So I started taking notes within days of the death announcement. As a matter of fact, I think it was 3 days. I didn't come out the bed, and I didn't get dressed. I was in the bed. I was just totally devastated. Okay. I cried every single day for 7 months. Okay. About how the world treated him, about how, you know, how it was unfair, and how he brought so much love and joy to the world in his music, and how it made me a good student because I had to earn my Jackson 5 albums by having good grades, and, you know, all these things, and how much the Jackson 5 meant to little black girls like me, who, and black boys too, but especially in the late 60s and the 1970s, when the world was way more segregated than it is today. And I went to a predominantly non-black school. I went to white school, so I was one of a handful of black kids in the whole school. And so it meant a lot to me to know that there was children that were my age doing great, wonderful, fantastic things, and all that. So anyway, back to the tweet. So I was the first person in the world to tweet that an ambulance was at Michael's house. I was already in the car driving, and when they said the ambulance left and it didn't look good, I called Cecil and I said, "Here, I have it all prepared in my constant contacts. Can you press send to the fans?" Okay, because I had it all ready. I did not want to alert the fans to something that devastating unless I had something a little bit more solid. And so that tweet is in my Alive Docu-series. If you guys have not watched the Alive Docu-series, you must. It's a must watch for any dedicated fan to check on Michael and to learn the other side of the story. So I'm going to start with the film that I made called A Prisoner of Fame, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it, okay? And it takes place on June 25th, okay? And I start off with Papa Joe Jackson's voice, and he can rest in peace.
I'm thinking, I'm still thinking that Michael is still alive.
Now, Joe Jackson said that. Joe Jackson said that on the first anniversary of the death announcement to a radio station. I have video footage. It's in my Alive Docu-series. Okay, so this is part of the short film. Let me. Okay. Remember, guys, this is the cameras were inoperative or missing. Okay, there were 2 entrances on Carrollwood. And one of them was deleted. One of the surveillance cameras into Carrollwood was deleted. Can you believe that? Deleted. And the other one was inoperable. So this is Conrad Murray, the actor that plays Conrad Murray, and he is turning off the camera. he's turning off the camera. Everything in this is based on facts. So he's turning off the surveillance camera. So then here we go. Let me move. So here we are, he's getting the dead body here, okay, because it was a cryonic dead body. So he's getting the dead body. It's being delivered the day before. And now it's going to be in Michael's bedroom. Okay, the bedroom is not, it's not going to look exactly like Michael's bedroom because we couldn't afford a mansion. And that's Michael coming to look at the dead body for the first time. And he has 777 because he was really into good luck and making all this work out. And 7, even though he loved 7s, it became a much bigger thing. Okay, and here we go. So now we're going to see the dead body. Okay, there's Michael coming in to see the dead body. Okay, because he knows, and he's sad because he knows he's gonna his career. He's saying goodbye to the career that he loved since he was a child. He's saying bye to the fans. He's just, you know, oh my God. So now we're unwrapping the dead body. Okay, the body double. And that's the cryonics guy, and there he is. And guys, there he is. It's 2 bodies that look the same, but and that's the cryonic guy. Okay, that's the guy, the cryonics person. Now Michael, everything matches. Okay, let me stop right there. Michael actually went to a cryonics convention. Okay, a few years prior to this, and they drove in a Hummer. And Uri Geller and some other scientists were with him. Michael used the ruse that he was interested in being cloned. Okay, even though that probably was an interest, why not be cloned? Okay, but clones have to be born. Okay, they don't just pop out of thin air being the same age as who they clone. They got to be born. Okay, so they're many, many years younger, right? And so with the cryonic body double, we've learned Carlton Austin Guy and Oscar Quintana, right? We've learned about that. And those were the bodies, aka Michael Jackson, at the coroner's office that the coroner has lied to me about. Can't tell you things that are going on with that right now, but something's going on with that right now. Okay. So anyway, this is the cryonics guy. And everything is based on the facts. And Michael went to a cryonics convention. They took a Hummer so there would not be a record to Arizona of them flying there, right? So the guy who was the actual limo driver, the driver, he reported that they went to a cryonics convention, a Raelian convention. And that's where Michael got to know the top cryonics people. And you know how impressed they are that they get to have a conversation and sit down with Michael Jackson? Oh, they were totally starstruck, and who wouldn't be, right? And Michael, that's where I believe Michael got the dead body and negotiated the deal. Now, did Uri Geller and all them know what Michael was up to? I don't know, because I contacted Uri Geller about going, and he kind of flipped me off, like, you know, don't bother me with that silliness. But it was probably because he signed an NDA, okay? So everything in this is based on facts. Okay, so let's move on a little bit more. See? And the scar on the head, because Michael had the constructive surgery. So you got to make sure the scar is there. And that's letting you know that it's a body double. Okay? And then the vitiligo spot. Okay? There's the vitiligo spot, making sure that it matches. Right? So that's the crime. And that's Dr. Conrad Murray. Okay? Oh, and this guy right here, wait, let me show you again. Okay, the guy that plays Jack London, let me tell you, which is Michael Jackson, he ended up being in Bee Gees' short film. What the heck? Right? Right? Okay, so let's continue. All right. He said it's perfect. So we did the two identifying traits of Michael, which was the vitiligo and the Pepsi burn scar. All done to your specifications.
The body is way too cold.
Okay. Now I'm getting into the body is way. Now you got to remember, I wrote this. I wrote this. I wrote this. I created it. I produced it. I had a director come in because I'm not a director, but I am for the documentaries. Okay, here we go.
Semi-frozen state to survive the trip. It's my experience that the body decays rather rapidly when it begins to thaw.
Okay, now that's very important. Okay, he said it comes. Let's go back because it was loud outside. So let's go back just a little bit and listen to this dialogue.
The body is way too cold. It had to be transferred in a semi-frozen state to survive the trip. It's my experience that the body decays rather rapidly when it begins to thaw. As I reviewed with you over the...
Okay, did you hear that? Okay, so that's based on the cryonics and the EMT saying the body looked like an old cancer hospice patient, which was really thin, that had been suffering a long illness. So I believe, since they're fake pumping the blood, that whenever anything happens inside any human body, or even animals, any living creature, it has to take that energy from somewhere. And usually it's stored fat, right? It's stored fat. The reason why I was on LaToya about being so thin and anorexic thin, it looks like she's gained a few pounds. She looked a little bit better, but she's still way too thin. Maybe another 5 or 10 pounds, LaToya, but you're looking better, and it is better. But anyway, your body moves off of the fat that you have stored as energy in your body, right? So when you are pumping it, even though it's a legally dead body, but you are keeping the vital organs and certain things from decaying and from dying completely, because that's what cryonics is about. Once you're legally announced dead, everything in the body doesn't die that second. Skin cells live for up to 2 days, right? Which means you can do surgery, right? As long as you cryonic it, as long as you start the cryonic process fast enough. The liver, the hearts, they all take 6, 8, 12 hours to die. So once you're legally dead, then the cryonics procedure can start, and it can preserve whatever is not dead in the body. So when it's pumping the heart, and that's the reason why it was the coma thing. We got to talk about the coma. It was reported that Michael was in a coma, and that's because this dead body was in a coma first, right? It was in a coma first, because once it's in a coma, everything is still living except for your vegetable, right? Right? And machines are keeping you alive, right? But once you're declared dead, legally dead, then the cryonics people are right there, so everything stays. They keep everything alive even though you're dead, right? So that's where the coma, Michael was in a coma, come from, because the cryonic body, before it was legally dead, because benzodiazepines, you overdose, usually puts it in a coma. That's the effects of a benzodiazepines overdose. Oh my God, this is just so good. It's just so good, right? So, and then the propofol is part of the cryonics process of cooling or freezing, okay? And that's why there was so much propofol in the body, is because that's part of the cryonics. Okay, so let's watch some more. Okay, let's watch some more.
The phone. This is the propofol. It is the preservative that protects the brain when in cryofreeze.
It does protect the brain.
It's going to be throughout the body, and it doesn't dissolve out like liquid nitrogen.
Okay, liquid nitrogen is another important chemical that's used in substance. That's a better word. That's used in cryonic freezing. So all this is based on facts, guys.
I've been ordering propofol for some months now and having it delivered to my girlfriend's apartment.
Okay, here he said, I've been ordering propofol for months now, having it delivered to my girlfriend's apartment. That is straight from testimony in the Conrad Murray trial, because the propofol was not being delivered to Carolwood, but it was being delivered to Nicole Alvarez, her house, right? And he had been ordering it for months. Now remember, there was no medical records. Conrad Murray kept no medical records, right? So there's no proof that he gave Michael Jackson propofol. It's kind of circumstantial. You ordered the propofol. Michael dies from propofol intoxication with the benzodiazepines effects, but there was not that many benzodiazepines in the house, because the medications that Michael had gotten, they still had more medications than what the prescription said according to the date of how he was supposed to take it. But anyway, we'll move forward. That's getting kind of in the weeds, but that's in, I picked that apart in the pseudocide. Did Michael Jackson fake his death to save his life? Okay, let's keep going.
No hospitals can be involved.
So no hospital would be involved. You hear that?
Your NDA.
The NDA, okay? Non-disclosure agreement, okay? Listen to this.
This NDA will allow us to take everything you have now or in the future should you tell anyone about this.
It's very ironclad. I can be maybe of more assistance if I know you're planning to do the body.
Why are you asking?
Just to make sure everything goes smooth.
Okay, he has a Russian accent, not Dr. Murray, but the cryonics guy, because we're thinking that Russia has a cryonics facility too, but so does Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, Alcor. And with that one of the fans said, oh, Pearl Jr. is saying that Michael used a body double, and it was a cryonics body double, and they said something, but it's a hoax. They put it's a hoax in there. Oh my God. And do you notice the butterflies on the wall for a new beginning? Okay, let's keep going.
While I'm touring, so my doctor here is providing me with propofol to help me sleep. I overdose and I die.
Okay, did you guys hear that? Did you hear that? Let's go right here. He's explaining what he's doing, because the cryonics guy asked him. And so now, you might as well tell him now. He didn't tell him what he wanted before, but now he's like confessing, because it's going to be all over the news in a few hours. Okay, so here we go.
Propofol to help me sleep. I overdose and I die.
Okay, he's ordering propofol to help him sleep, and he overdoses and he dies. This is really important, okay? Because with Michael Jackson, with the Catherine versus AEG live trial, which he was supposed to lose, which Catherine was supposed to lose because it absolved AEG of anything that has to do with Michael's death or surrounding events, death announcement, death hoax, all that stuff. But anyway, so gosh, oh my God, what was I saying? I gotta go back. I was saying something. Let me go back. Hush.
Tell me sleep. I overdose and I die.
Oh, Michael never saw any sleep therapist doctors. Now, the first thing you do if you have problems sleeping, you go see a sleep professional, a sleep therapist, right? Michael saw, so many doctors, but not one of them was a sleep therapist doctor. And Michael was not having problems sleeping. Michael's cycle was off because he really didn't have to get up in the morning for nothing, except for the kids. And there were nannies and cooks to make sure the kids got off and went to their home school or did whatever they needed to do. Michael had those people hired. Okay, so the whole thing about he couldn't sleep and all that, that's just to make the narrative fit the situation of the cryonic body double. Okay, let's move on.
I see. This body was in a coma for a little over a year, and the actual cause of death was a benzodiazepine overdose. So those drugs actually will be apparent during autopsy.
Okay, so the body had already died of been in a coma due to the benzodiazepine overdose. So this is really written really factually.
However, the antidote.
Antidote, very important.
Narcovine. This needs to be injected minutes before you attempt to revive the body. And you must, remember that, you must attempt to revive the body.
Okay, now the reason why I'm emphasizing that they must attempt to revive the body or rejuvenate the body or bring the body, because that's part of the cryonics contract. Okay, that somebody is paying for their loved one, or you can set it up yourself for yourself when you die, that you want to be cryonically frozen, right? But one of the stipulations is you will stay that way until they think there is a antidote. They think there is a something that can heal whatever killed you, right? And in this case, it's I call it, I think, Narcan, but it's a real word. I go through it a lot in Alive 5. But anyway, maybe Alive 4 or 3. But anyway, the body was found to have that in it, right? That dead body. And that's why Jermaine announcing it can say, oh, they tried to resuscitate. They tried to resuscitate. They tried to, in his My Brother is Dead, King of Pop is Dead speech, he mentions resuscitation 4 or 5 times, okay? Because they don't want to do anything illegal, right? So that is the terms of the way that Michael gets the body for scientific purposes. The scientific purposes that Michael was able to get the body was, since the benzodiazepines, there is something that can reverse that type of overdose. And it was invented just a few years before Michael's death announcement. So now they can use that, unthaw the body, use that, pump the body, and try to rejuvenate the body. Okay, because when you die of a drug overdose or you die in your sleep, it's a beautiful death. You're not mangled, you're not cut up, you're not, you look like yourself except for you're dead, right? Okay, so here we go.
It's just, wait.
I think the problem?
No, it's fine. I don't mind being thought of as a drug addict. It's fine. If this is the price of freedom, I'm okay with it.
Price of freedom.
It's fine. Besides, it'll be believable. I was once addicted to prescription meds. Yeah, my doctors purposefully got me addicted, so I would continue to need them and pay them. So.
Okay, so let's get into that too. Okay. Remember, Debbie Rowe testified, which I had reported before the TMZ documentary, and some fans were mad at me, thought I was player hating because she's a white woman and Michael's black, thought I was player hating, but no, I'm not. I never do that. I'm trying to be as honest and forthright as I can be, right? So with that, Debbie Rowe admitted under oath that she, Dr. Klein, and Dr. Hoffman, she was the mule. She was the one that went and got the drugs and gave them to Michael and made sure Michael took them. Dr. Murray and Dr. Klein are the ones that prescribed the medication. Debbie also testified that sometimes she wrote prescriptions. How could she write prescriptions? She done got away with so much. Okay, when she had 6 months EMT training, emergency medical technician training, wasn't any kind of LVN, licensed vocational nurse, wasn't a RN, wasn't any kind of a doctor. Debbie was overstepping her bounds because she finally admitted on camera that she participated in making people addicted to drugs and people died. And she said she sucks as a human being, and she was crying because after she got off the stand, and I was in the courtroom, I was confronting her. Okay, don't think I wasn't. I was confronting her, right? Especially when she got off the stand and went to Catherine and hugged Catherine and told Catherine, if Trent gives you any problems, you call me. As if she was some kind of savior. What do you mean? Michael's dead. okay, according to what you believe, okay, not according to what we have discovered. But and if he gives you any trouble, you call me, as if she's some massa on some plantation, right? And I couldn't wait to get home. So when I got home, I tweeted her, okay, and it ended up in being into a 2-day Twitter battle, okay, where she called me a bitch. She said Michael don't date black women, which was her goal in the first place, which showed that she was a racist because I never said anything about black or white in our Twitter battle, right? But she's going to tweet that, okay, because that was her intent, okay? And that's why she went ahead and had non-black kids for Michael, because she probably hated in her gut and soul that Michael was black and rich, okay, and successful. Okay, it was messing with her black inferiority complex or her white superiority thinking. Okay, so she went out and got pregnant twice on her own. Okay, twice on her own. Michael was first one. Michael told her no, don't get pregnant, and she went ahead and did it too. And then she had some photographer when Michael was filming This Is It or no, filming, not This Is It, Ghost, okay, Ghost, right? On the motorcycle, Michael's in a disguise and riding on her motorcycle. This is when I told Michael he was going to be a father. Well, Michael never had agreed. But then after she went and told the press, right, and he was talked into, this is a good idea, because now people won't think you're a pedophile. Now you get to be a father. Okay, and then when they kept him drugged out of his mind, so much so that Debbie Rowe told the nanny when Prince was a baby, don't leave the baby alone with Michael, while she went out to Mark Lester and said, Michael asked me to get you some sperm. Now, Mark Lester had said to me when we were communicating, I was on his accounts or social media or something. He said, well, Michael wanted the best DNA for his children. Oh, you think you got better genes than the Jackson family? You got better genes than Michael Jackson has? And what the hell better genes does Debbie have? She high school graduate, okay? What better genes? And she didn't even finish EMT school, okay? I'm telling y'all, okay, this was a racially motivated situation, okay? So anyway, so they addicted him to drugs and on purpose. So he's telling this part of the story. Everything I'm putting here, I didn't even put it all in there. I didn't put none of that in there because I wanted to wait until Paris, Prince, and Blanket was grown before I really got into that, okay? Here we go.
That's the price of fame.
That's the price of fame.
I'm not done with that now, so.
You've been through enough, Jack.
You also must keep the heart artificially beating until the moment of resuscitation. Otherwise, anyone who was to look at the body would know that it had been dead for way longer than you attempted to resuscitate.
Okay, they're talking about the deterioration of the body, right? And that's all I could find, y'all, as far as the thumper device to have the heart artificially pumping, which is what they do. And there was the red mark in the autopsy, right? The red mark on that body in the autopsy, right? Here we go. Oh, and a thumper device wasn't used by Beverly Hills EMT until several years later. Okay, so that red device, that red mark on that body double that they photoshopped Michael's face on there, and I tell you in the Alive Docu-series where the actual pictures come from that they were photoshopped, okay, you see the red mark there, okay? Everything's based on facts, y'all.
How long before the body returns to a normal temperature?
Honestly, about a day or two.
No, that's not going to work.
A day or
This
two.
is not going to work at all. I need this body tomorrow, 10 hours from now.
Why?
You notice the 205 which equals 7?
Why so soon?
What is this?
You might as well tell
And you guys look at the pajamas.
Jack.
By dying tomorrow,
Butterflies.
that would mark the exact middle of my life.
See, by dying tomorrow, it would mark the exact middle day of my
January
life.
27, 1994.
January 27th. Now we had to, at the actual video shoot, I had 84 there, right? 1984. But he said, then that would make me too old. You know, he said, that's what he said. That would make me too old. So we went ahead and changed it to 94 so that the age matched a little bit more. Okay, but I wrote January 27th, 1984, but they came to me and they powwowed me and said, let's make the age a little bit more realistic. So that was, that's why we brought it to 94. Okay, so he said the exact middle day of his life. Okay, so you guys know that it was 9,292, it was 1111, 9292 or something like that, the number of days. It's in the Alive Docu-series. So it was 25 days prior to, and then in 25 years, when Michael was 25, that's when the Pepsi burn occurred. And then 25 years after the Pepsi burn was where he chose that date. And that's why that rocket ship had the number MJ2040. Because if you add June, which is 6, 25, which is 31, and you add that to 2009, right? 2009, you end up with 2040. Okay? But that's me just adding some extra stuff in there. That's not part of this. Okay, but anyway, so now he's explaining. It's all just so brilliant. Okay, if I have to say so myself. Here we go.
That's when my scalp was burned.
That's when his scalp was burned. Okay, that's why I made sure that at the beginning of the movie we showed the scar on the head.
Things were never the same after that.
Things were never the same. Okay, Michael was climbing, improving until that day. And once January 27, 1984 came, his life started a slow decline. He never reached heights higher than that time of his life, ever. Did he reach heights that high? Ever. Okay, so that's why he picked that day, because that was a trajectory changing experience, right? Because he became he had to have the plastic surgery. First he had to have the scalp surgery, and then he had to have the reconstructive surgery, and all that introduced him to drugs and medications, and yeah.
And it was the beginning of the end, and I know that I have to
the beginning of the end,
because these people will try to find another way to stop me. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. No, so
No, Jack.
Doctor, I know that I have my superstitions, but I need this done now. Okay, everything is ready to go. This has to be done today. Okay, or all of this means nothing. This all means nothing, and
Okay, so he thought the body would come prepared, right? Thawed and everything. And now he's putting him on the last minute. Oh no, it's going to take 2 or 3 days to thaw. He's like, wait a damn minute. No. I've got all this planned, everything lined up. Everything's ready to go. It's got to happen today. Okay.
I'm too tired. I'm just tired. Okay. I can't do this anymore.
Okay.
I had also wrote about Farrah Fawcett. We didn't get a chance to shoot it. And also all the domains that Michael had registered, which is MJ is Alive, MJ Death Hoax, Michael Jackson Death Hoax, Michael Jackson Hopes Death, I am MichaelJackson.com. All these domains, it's in the Alive Docu-series, was registered. So everything was ready to go. Okay, here we go. But we didn't get a chance to put that in there, but I wrote it in. And where he said, send some flowers to Farrah Fawcett. Okay. Here we go. Because she died that day.
It'll be fine.
It's your money. You can count it if you like.
Paying him.
That won't be necessary. I will make sure the Carlton family gets their half.
The Carlton family gets their half, okay? Carlton Austin Guy, Oscar Quintana. That's the name of the dead body double that's at the coroner's house with a coroner's office, aka with the name Michael Jackson on it. That's who I believe when they dropped the body off at the coroner's, when the body went to the coroner's office, what were they going to do with the body? What were the Jacksons going to do with the body? So they left it at the coroner's office. Okay. And when the fingerprints, okay, hold on. Okay. This is what I believe. When the fingerprints came back, right? Because there's a video, and the fingerprints, they said they sent the fingerprints waiting for them to come back from the coroners. There's no positive identification of fingerprints. There's no positive dental records in the autopsy saying the body was identified positively through either DNA, through fingerprints, or through dental records. Dental records were incomplete, which means they didn't match. The fingerprints, they never said they matched. They said they fingerprinted the body, but they never said that they matched them. They said the coroner lied and said he named and identified the body through a California driver's license. And we all know there's all Michael driver's licenses are in the name of Michael Joe Jackson, not Michael Joseph Jackson. So we got to keep that in mind. It's very important. That's why he sang that song, that duet with Barry Gibb, All in the Name, All in the Game, that Barry Gibb released on the 2nd anniversary of the death announcement. All in the name, all in the game. The gates of heaven, okay? Pearly gates, death, right? Death, but you're living again, right? Because once you die here, you're supposed to have eternal life in heaven, right? If you've been a good person. So, and the pearly gates are where you go in and you get checked in through God, from God, right? So it's still a life after death, which is what Michael was saying. So anyway, with it's all in the name, all in the game, and the coroner lying about how he named and identified the dead body will be picked apart even more in Alive 5. I can't wait for you guys to see the pows and the wows. But it's not going to make a lot of sense because it's for the advanced believers, okay? It's for the advanced believers, okay? So you have to know that you've watched Alive 1, 2, 3, and 4 and A Prisoner of Fame in order to understand. So let's move on, okay? So he pays him the money, okay? The NDA is signed, okay? So it's all on the hush-hush, okay?
I know my way out. Thank you.
I have work to do.
So Michael needed a cardiologist because of the heart of the body double, right? And they wanted a cardiologist. That was probably one of the terms that they had, that a doctor. That's why at the very beginning, he says license and identification, right? Because the cryonics lab don't want to lose their license over this. Hold on, let me show you. Let's go back, and I'm at 754. Okay, let's go back here to the beginning.
Medical license and identification, please.
See, medical license and identification. So let's go back to here where we were at. Okay, he says license and identification, right? So it's all on the up and up. Michael used it for scientific purposes. He got the cryonic body double legally because he got it from them. There was a resuscitation attempted for hours and hours and hours by some of the best doctors in the whole world. A cardiologist was there to monitor the heart, a real doctor that was licensed, right? So it's all on the up and up, right? It's all on the up and up. Okay, so let's keep going.
Medical history.
Okay, let's go back a little bit more.
I have work to do.
Of course.
All right. The heart is beating normally.
What if we do actually resuscitate the body?
The money ensures that the Carltons remain on our side. And if nothing else, we'll make medical history.
See, all on the up and up.
Yeah. Just please don't let me down, Doc.
But Michael's like, but you know what I need the body for, though. but they willing for it. They're willing to do it. Take the chance.
No, I'm serious. No matter what happens, Doctor, no matter what happens, especially when the media comes after you, even the police, we see this through to the end.
Even when the media comes after you, even the police, we see this to the end.
Think of it like a game.
Like a game.
That's how I coped when I was a kid. The famous singing kid with the golden voice. Okay?
Well, you gave me a $2 million incentive.
$2 million.
Yeah.
And if I go to prison, another $3 million.
And if I go to prison, another $3 million. Remember the $5 million? That there was the talk of the $5 million, but Conrad Murray really never got any money on record. And I have evidence and proof that Michael had $50 million bucks. And the money that Michael had was never accounted for. Okay, most of it, like 40 million, was never accounted for. He got it from refinancing his assets. And I got that information from Ramon Bain, who had sued Michael a month and a half before the day of my birthday, May 5th, my birthday's May 6th, had sued him and said that they refinanced. Michael got like 40 something million, and such million was going in his pocket, and such million was going to pay his bills. Well, Michael took the whole thing, because he had bills to pay, okay? And he had to make sure, and he never took the money for Sony for Thriller 25 because he needed that money readily available to give to Catherine, okay? Because everything was near foreclosure. He had to make it seem like he was destitute. He was overworked. He was, you got to create the story. And you got to make it believable. And it is believable because I am reporting all these logical, reasonable facts. And it's like not, gaining huge traction, except for when they asked people on Family Feud who had faked their death. And Elvis was one and Michael was two. Okay, so it's making more in-ground than we think. Okay, here we go.
It's all in the NDA.
It's all in the NDA, non-disclosure.
This body is much too cold. It must be warmer. Must make this body warmer.
Okay, so the body's too cold.
I'm checking it all night, on the hour, to make sure there's progress.
That's why Conrad Murray was up all night, because the body was too cold. And remember the hot and cold, and they said it was really hot in the house, and the fireplace was on, and it's summer. Remember that? Okay, and they talked about hot and cold and all that stuff.
Okay. It's going to be a long night.
Oh, right. Please make sure that he's in the same matching pajamas as the ones with the butterflies.
Just in case people missed it, I said, make sure that he has on the same pajamas, the matching pajamas with the butterflies.
For the beginning. My new beginning.
He knows he's saying goodbye. Okay, so, yeah, I'm advertising my documentaries. Well, let me go here. Let me just play it. 350 minutes. This is before I did a live 4. Okay. Oh, no, I did live 4 here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. The greatest OMG movies of our lifetime. Live 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go to Michael Jackson Insider and you can watch all the documentaries on demand. Okay. And Peter Michael Bobby gave me this commercial, y'all. He gave it to me, made it for me. He made it himself. He didn't hire a fancy smancy person. He made it himself. Okay, let me turn the volume down. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so now we're going to come back to the movie now. This is the first time that I've ever broke down the movie like this, the first time. And I think it's very appropriate for today, especially when the Jackson official accounts are going 1958 to 2009. I asked them, I left a comment and I said, please show me some proof that Michael Joe Jackson is dead. Every death document, oh, this is important. Okay, every death document, every single death document does not include his name of Michael Joe Jackson. Nothing includes Michael Joe Jackson. Okay, you got to remember the 911 call didn't use a name at all. Okay, now the EMTs made all kind of mistakes. They said Michael Jackson on their form, but they spelled Michael wrong, they had the zip code wrong, and they had the date of birth wrong. But that's not a death document. The body wasn't supposed to be dead by then. That is not a death document, okay? The EMT's notes, them filling out the form, is not a death document because it was their assessment form of the patient that they had. Remember, the body could not die at Carrollwood. If the body would have died at Carrollwood, then it depreciates the rented house that Michael was on. It's just so brilliant, everything, right? When somebody dies, I don't know if it's nationwide, but here in California, when somebody dies, you have to disclose it if it's within a certain period of time. So Michael did not own that expensive house. He rented it via AEG, right? So anyway, that's why the body was not dead and it had to die at UCLA. And that's why the coma stuff came. Okay, there we go. And Comrade Murray refused to sign the death certificate. Remember? Because the EMT, because they had to figure out a way to get the body, you know, to the coroners. And they had things that they, you know, all kinds of stuff they had to do. Okay, to make the story legit. And Michael likes that because he loves movie making, right? And a reality movie making? Oh my God. Okay, so here we go. So we show the pool because we wanted to be a plush house. So that was my attempt at saying the house was, you know, an expensive house. Okay, there's the mask. Okay, Michael loved disguises and masks. Okay. So I had to go rent that. Okay, now he's changing clothes, but he still has 777. Michael would never be in baseball. I don't even think baseball uniform. But the sevens are there. Listen.
This is it.
This is it. Movie.
This is it.
This is it. Not the thing. Ah, the Ankh symbol. Okay. Ankh symbol. Okay. Ankh symbol. Okay. Which means life after life, right? Means life after life. Or life after death, right? And the Ankh symbol Michael wore had a jacket. We're talking about the month before the death announcement, within a month. He had a red Ankh jacket. He had a black Ankh jacket. And he also had on the family that they lied and said it was an anniversary party. For the family, it was really Michael saying goodbye to everyone. And that was an Indian restaurant in Beverly Hills that they went to. And Michael had an Ankh symbol on his leg. His pants leg. So that's why the Ankh symbol is here. Okay, so let's continue.
And refuses to send you his medical report. Yes, I understand. But Mr. London says no. He already gave you a physical exam months ago. And it showed that he was healthy and drug-free.
I feel so grateful to Dr. Carter.
See, he refused to send the medical records the morning of. We learned that through testimony.
For making it critically clear that I'm not insured.
And yes, he also is aware, very aware, that he'll take another physical exam when he arrives in Budapest.
No.
I'm Budapest, but Bucharest, Budapest.
One can collect any insurance due to my death.
Okay, now, it's a crime for him to fake his death and to collect insurance, right? So I wanted to make sure that the audience knows that Michael did not break any laws by faking his death, Okay, he didn't break any laws. Everything is on the up and up. Okay, the reason why they refused to send the medical records is because he wanted to make sure that he wasn't insured. Now, somebody at AEG had paid the premium. Had paid the premium, and they probably shouldn't have, but the insurance was never consummated because, number one, they were worried that Michael had drug issues or health issues. They refused to send the medical, Michael took a physical in March, and they refused to send the physical, saying that he passed, but, they refused to send the medical records. And Michael was supposed to take a second physical when he got to London. Now, Michael canceled his London trip. He was supposed to go to London and look at the house that they were going to rent. But they probably had required him to pay like a year in advance or something. But Michael was never going, right? And then I looked up, did Conrad Murray transfer his license to be able to practice medicine in the UK? There was some kind of process where you practice medicine in the UK. You have to get permission from their medical board, and I could not find anything that said Conrad Murray had that permission to practice medicine. So Michael knew he wasn't going. Okay, he knew he wasn't going. Okay, so let's sorry about that. Okay, so let's continue. So no insurance, broke no laws, faking his death.
For the constantly case, yes, he agrees with that.
Or I'll be breaking the law.
I'll also tell him that he has no insurance. Even though the promoter paid you for the premium, it doesn't mean that he's covered.
And I can't break the law.
Got it.
That was very important, okay? Because Michael didn't know how it was going to turn out, if he was going to get caught or anything. He didn't know at this stage of the game.
Jack, I don't want to worry you, but this body is still way too cold. And then I'm confused because it should be the correct temperature.
So you're saying it's not normal yet? Listen, doctor, this body has to be ready to go.
It will be, don't worry. Does anybody know about this in your family?
Yes. My sisters, my brothers, my parents.
Because they've all left death host clues.
Your children?
Of course.
Of course the kids know. People be like, he wouldn't leave his kids. Only if he died he would have. But he didn't leave them because he's still alive. Duh.
I taught them how bizarre show business can be.
Yes, they called you the Bizarro King.
Bizarro King, which is Wacko Jacko. And Jack London, we're going to look up Jack London. There was something weird about him. But Michael was going to London, right? So that's why his name is Jack London. We're going to look that up. Don't let me forget.
Yeah. I do feel bad about fooling my fans. I have the best fans in the world, doctor. But this is the only way that I can totally be free. They'll understand eventually.
That was my job. And whatever her name was that did the media hoax, I forget her name, but he said the fans will eventually understand. I like that little shot. Immortal, the Immortal Tour.
Like all the greats. I want to go down in history as the greatest entertainer this world's ever seen. Except, I won't be here to be kicked around.
See the heater by the body? Because the heat was on at Carolwood. It was really hot. 12 o'clock. Here we go. 12:01.
1994. I was burned at exactly 12:04 p.m. That means, for good luck,
12:04.
I need to be in peril at 12:04 p.m. Which means you need to call the security to let them know something's wrong, okay?
Alberto Alvarez.
I'm not sure what's going on, but the body feels like it's the correct temperature. But it's still reading at under 90 degrees. It's been this way all day.
All right, doctor. The time now is 12:01, okay? We got about 4 minutes, 3 minutes to get this ready. You said you were gonna have this done.
I know, Jack, but something is wrong, damn it. The body's still way too cold.
It's still way too cold. Okay.
And my son did the guitar, did some music, and we hired another guy who played with famous people too to do the music.
You know what? It is now 12:02.
I know. Don't worry, okay? The plastic surgery is perfect. No one's going to be able to detect it is not really you.
Okay, well, maybe that's broken. Here, try this.
Take it.
It is 12:03. Come on, doctor, please.
And 12:04 equals 7.
Ah, yes. Finally, the right temperature.
The red mark?
Are you ready?
And there's the antidote to the benzodiazepine overdose. I got that from Pulp Fiction. Remember Pulp Fiction, y'all? I just thought I'd add that in there. That was from Pulp Fiction. Remember when she was dying of a drug overdose and they shot her up with something and she popped up? Okay, so I got that from there. That was just my little thing. I don't know if that really happened, but that was fun as dramatic purposes.
Oh my God. Resuscitation just might work. Why are you laughing?
Well, I mean, now you're all worked up and you're ready to give the performance of a lifetime.
Can you find that funny?
Sorry. Doctor, I replaced your thermometer with the broken one when you were sleeping. That's why the temperature never was working. But look, you're sweaty and you're nervous.
And Michael's a prankster. That's why I made the little prank there, because Michael was a prankster and to lighten it up.
Okay?
Make Michael likable.
State to announce that you found me not breathing. So it's good.
It was so hot that day when we shot this. It was a 2-day shoot. It was so hot. Oh my God, it was so hot.
Anything else you need?
Yes, Doctor, one more thing. I need from you an Academy Award-winning performance. Can you do that?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm out of here.
What is that?
It's for good luck. 777.
777 for good luck. Okay, and look, and that's my little mistake right there. It's supposed to say 1204 there, and it says 1203. But you know, hey, Pulp Fiction had bigger errors than me. They had holes in the wall before the shooting. And check out the brains on Brad, but his name was Brent. So you know, I tried. Well, he has to be in peril. 1204. Okay, here it comes. 1203. We're going to show 1204 right now. There it is, 1204. And that was supposed to be Alberto Alvarez, who called 911. Here we go.
Security! 1, 2, 3!
Michael sneaking out the other way.
Oh my God. Call 911, he's not breathing. 1, 2, going.
Yes, I need an ambulance right away.
Everyone has instructions.
1000 Helen Tree.
Only a chosen few know the truth.
California, 900.
All I gotta do is get myself out of here unnoticed.
We have a gentleman here that's not breathing. I mean, we're trying to pump him, but he's not breathing.
That comes straight from the 911 tape recording.
I'm ready.
He's not breathing.
Once I step out of this house,
He is not breathing.
I'm the living dead.
The living dead. Carl Gilliard, he's the one that played Dr. Murray. Philip and Andre Botello, Michael. And this one is the cryonics guy, and this one is Alberto Alvarez. And that's all that was in, that's the only people we have to hire. And do you know everybody worked on the film got paid, right? It was a paid shoot, and I got the money, and I paid everyone for that. And you fans donated about 10%. So I thank you so much. Okay, and I paid the 90%. So anyway, guys, so now that was in celebration of showing you how Michael Jackson actually faked his death. Now, this is a bigger part of a script that I wrote. And it's really, I've turned it into a like 11-part miniseries. But this one as a movie, this was the middle. This was the middle, because there's a lot of setup story, because Michael planned to fake his death right after the 94 settlement, okay? Because we have proof of that in World Weekly News, where it says Michael Jackson plans to fake his death in 94. And then we have other stuff in 98, another article, and then Michael used to write 1998. And then things happened. Then he was going to do it in 2001 during the Invincible album. But after he did the 30th anniversary with his brothers, that's when the next day they recorded the 9/7 and 9/10, September 7th and September 10th. 9/11, which was September 11th, that's when Michael was still in New York. LaToya said he was supposed to go to the World Trade Center that morning, but he overslept, right? So there's a lot of pre-story to this whole death hoax saga, okay? And I've written it all. So when I decided I was going to splurge and spend some money and make a film, because I'm a documentary filmmaker, but I wanted to be a dramatic filmmaker, which I accomplished. And Michael loved it. And do you know that he called to talk to one of the guys on set to that day, and he called me when we were shooting and stuff. That was really cool. Okay. And we were shooting, oh my God, I think we shot on 7/7. I think I didn't plan it. It just happened that way. It was just so wild. It was just so wild. Okay. And then I didn't release it for a while because Luna Joe, let's see, what about Luna Joe? She believes Michael's dead, and she prefers him dead. Okay. Because if you refuse to look at the solid facts, proof, and you call yourself an investigator, and you refuse to look at what makes Michael undead or not dead, or the death didn't happen, then you prefer him dead. I mean, it's just that simple. That's how I feel about it. Okay. So that day it was so hot. Okay. And I thank everybody, Craig Ross Jr., who was the director, who did a great job. And of course, Gumbo, thank you so much. Gumbo was also involved in my Michael Jackson, The Trial and Triumph documentary. He's in the credits of that because he was an audio guy that worked for Fox. And he helped me with the audio. And he helped me put all this together and made sure that it got done, right? Because I could have dragged my legs, but when I have the means to do it and somebody kind of, is there for you and pushing you to do it, then it got done. And it got done. I'm so proud of it. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I think that's it. I said prisoner of fame, the first tweet, I told you, name Carlton Austin Guy, the driver's license, the California driver's license, none of them are in the name Michael Joseph Jackson, which is against the Department of Public Health rules, and also the CDC. You got to use their real names. No AKAs or assumed names can be entered on the death record. And Michael Joseph Jackson is an assumed name, and it's also known as, and AKA with Carlton Austin Guy, AKA Oscar Quintana, aka Michael Jackson. That's not supposed to be on any death record either, okay? Because one fingerprint is supposed to match one person. So that lets you know that there's something off with that file already, and more stuff has happened that I haven't reported to you yet, okay? And that was the body double. the LAPD detective, he said he saw the autopsy and it looked nothing like him. And that's in one of my videos, but that will be in Alive 5 as well. Okay. Never got the results from Latoya. Remember Latoya said she went to Forest Lawn and Forest Lawn said, we don't have Michael's body and we've never had it. So what was the body that was at Forest Lawn? Was it Oscar Quintana or Carlton Guy? Or, and Forest Lawn is in on it. Okay. They know something ain't right, but they're looking the other way because Michael paid him $590,000 for that crypt. And then Papa Joe was buried there too. Okay, and I think Tito's also buried at a Forest Lawn too. I think it's the other one, not Glendale, but Hollywood, I think. Okay, and Forest Lawn wants that money. Okay, and they are kind of like, we keep it on the hush hush. Okay, but anyway, that detective said that he saw the body and it looked nothing like him. Okay, and there's still no name on the grave as far as I last checked. There's no name on the grave, and even if they did put a name on the grave today, right? Today, it doesn't mean anything, right? And they're not going to do it because something can happen to where they can be forced to open that crypt. Okay, with no name on it, maybe they don't have to open it. Okay, to where it's empty. And then there were reports that the body was cremated. Come on, it's just all, Michael faked his death, period. And there's like 10 times more facts, proof, evidence, and clues that Michael faked his death. Okay, so I think that is it, guys. And thank you for watching my commentary of the short film that I wrote and produced called A Prisoner of Fame. I hope one day that I'm able to make the actual real Michael Jackson miniseries. And we are going to get into Debbie Rowe and the children because they're so old now. They're older now. And you know, the phrase, the truth shall set you free. And it ain't their fault, whatever happened. It's Debbie Rowe, okay, who put all this plan in effect, okay. And then Michael called a race traitor that he didn't want black kids, and then we got the Brandon Howard saga. Oh my God! Oh yeah, we're opening with Brandon Howard. That's the first. Well, it's in the first episode. Brandon Howard's in the first episode, okay, and it comes in the fact of a dream. Okay, that's how I kind of, all right, guys, I can go on and on and on. I got to get to work. We already had just one customer come in today, and it was a decent sale. And I got to go shopping for inventory right now for supplies. So I don't want to say happy 16th anniversary, but happy for Michael's new beginning. And it's been 16 years. I can't believe it. 16 years since that awful, dreadful, horrible day. But I love you all, but I gotta go. Okay, let me see if there's any comments, any questions. Yeah, they're Michael's children. That's true. But I gotta tell you how it happened, you know, because I tell you guys the truth, right? I tell you the truth. Why does somebody keep repeating that? I do tell you guys the truth about what happened. I did wait, you know. Yeah, okay, got it, fine. Okay, but you got to know what happened. Don't be so, you know, that you can't, you know, hear the truth about it all. Okay, and let's see. I don't think there's, oh, that would jump scare me. Of course it did. He's the greatest of all time, a legend. Absolutely. All right, guys. Absolutely. Okay. All right then. So I will see you guys next time. Be sure to go to Michael Jackson Insider today, and please share the link with other people to let them know they can bring Michael, if they believe that he's dead, they can bring him back to life by watching the Alive Docu-series. Love you all, but I gotta go. Bye-bye.